Uh, the next session, which is again a presentation and a deep dive on cyber risk and cyber insurance. So we have Mr. Kunal Pande, who's a national co-head digital risk security and governance at KPMG. He's a partner there, and he leads the digital risk security and governance, which is called the DRSG group for KPMG in India. He's also a member of KPMG Global Payments Leadership Team and is also part of the financial sector leadership team of KPMG in India. In his career spanning over 2 decades, he's advised banks, payment companies, central banks, exchanges, and now India InsurTech Association. Okay. So without much ado, Mr. Pande, it's all yours. Thank you. Parallel track, which is a deep dive on AI and insurance, which is happening in the other venue. Yeah, so that's just for you to know. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to take you through the journey of cybersecurity and more specifically cyber insurance. In some of the earlier discussions, we heard a lot about data, and the whole focus of this event is as InsurTech based on data. So as I was reflecting about it, I felt that it would be right to say that data can be looked at as a car, right? And what do you want to do with car? You want to drive, because driving brings value. It takes you to your journey. Cyber security could be more looked at like brakes, because if I have brakes and the brakes are good, I can of course drive faster. And when you think of insurance, cyber insurance, probably I would say you can think of it like airbags. So while there are good brakes, if I have good airbags, then I am more secure. I feel more confident, and hopefully I can continue driving fast with confidence. But that's where the catch is, right? When you buy a car, you do try and understand how many airbags it has. Is it only in the front at the dashboard, or next to the driver and the pillion next on the side, or it's behind also? So how good the airbags are, that's also very important. So that's what I think I'm going to talk about. So we'll talk about two things. One, what's happening in the cyber world, how things are changing, and what is really the new risk environment. Then I will get into what you need to do from a cybersecurity perspective, but not much. Really will focus on cyber insurance. So let me start. Okay, I think I was introduced. I'll not spend time on this. But let me start by, therefore, asking you a question. So if you look at the largest economies in the world, of course, you would have heard about US being the biggest and China is the second. So anybody who wants to take a guess, which is the third largest economy? In a technically correct form, of course, it is Japan. But I wanted to put a twist here and say that the third largest probably would be cyber as an economy. In the recent World Economic Forum, it was said that cybersecurity is, and this was none other than the Prime Minister of Albania who mentioned this, that cybersecurity, if you go by the amount of money which the industry generates, of course, not a legitimate industry, but the amount of money which the industry generates every year would be equal to third largest economy in the world, above technically correct third largest, which is Japan. And another important element to keep in mind is that critical infrastructure, it has become a weapon of war, and the attack on it has again become weapon of war. So we're not dealing with people who are doing it for fun or trying to prove something is not right. They are trying to make money. And the other side also is quite well equipped. So with that, what comes out, right? As we spoke about our example of car, most organizations have brakes. You might say that the brakes are really good, or may not be really good, but in spite of that, most organizations have not been able to prevent cyber attacks every time. There have been breaches to the best of the organizations, and probably you can say to the best of the governments also. They've also, experienced cyber attacks. So it's not about that it'll never happen. It is about when it'll happen. And also, what we are seeing is that the amount of money which is being, spent in terms of remediating, a cyber attack, and also therefore then building more on cyber security, it is going up and it's rising with a phenomenal pace. 15% CAGR. So if you think about our third highest economy, that economy is growing really fast and not really impacted by other dimensions of inflation, etc. And at the same time, while investment in cybersecurity is increasing, what we are also seeing is that the confidence level at CEOs is falling. And there is a dip of almost 25%, right? A quarter of CEOs are now less confident. Moving forward, if you look at India, you all would have heard this. In India, we are generating tons of data, and we are probably one of the most data-rich country where data also is quite widely available. Facebook said that the amount of data which India has needs to be, looked at. They looked at as a huge opportunity, and all of you also look at it as a huge opportunity. The gold out there. And of course, no better example to show the power is the UPI, where the fintechs are interacting with the customers, understanding their needs, and then trying to do more about with the data. But at the same time, what is happening in India, right? In India also, regulators are becoming tougher. I don't know how many of you read this news. This is not very old. One of the very famous brand, ITC, they were fined almost, I think a lakh of rupees they were fined when one biscuit less was present in the pack, right? And with that, we are also now going to see the Data Protection Act, which is now enacted. And if you heard Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar say a couple of days back, the board will be formed potentially within a month, and the rules also will be released soon. And what we are hearing, and if I don't know how many of you are from the cyber background, but what we are also hearing is that a lot of cyber perpetrators, thinking about their economy, are keeping the personal data which they have stolen in their bags, because once these rules are out, the value of the data will go up, and then they'll come after many people to say, either pay up or we are going to release the data. So that's what is happening. Not to really scare you away, but to make you feel that this is really important and probably deserves most, utmost importance for us. So what do I do, right? All this is there. What do I do? Of course, I could take insurance, and that's what I'm going to talk about. But before you get into taking insurance, you also need to, look at what else should be there, and what do you need to keep in mind when you're taking insurance. So you need to have, of course, effective cyber protect and respond capability. So if something can go wrong, can you protect? Can you prevent? Right? It's like human body. There is skin which is protecting me from outside, but then there are antibodies within which are protecting me from inside. So protection again needs to be multifaceted, and you need to protect. I don't want to get into details there because that's not the focus of our talk. We can discuss whenever you want. But we need to also build respond capability. So if something goes wrong in cyber world, it is said that if in 2 hours you can do some critical action, then you can reduce the impact significantly. 48 hours are the golden hours. After that, your money might not come back. So how do you move fast? How do you effectively communicate to various stakeholders? Effective would also mean you're communicating correctly about what has happened, where things have gone wrong, what has happened, because whatever you say to the market may impact you if it's not correct. And also, if you're not clear in communication, the insurance policy which you've taken may not also remain as effective. conflict management, effective decision making, because you need to move fast. Regulatory reporting, again in India, certain says within 6 hours you have to report, so you need to be ready to report. And last but not the least, and which is what we're going to focus more on, you need to have an effective cyber insurance policy. So what does it mean? You have to look at both your own losses as well as potential losses which can come your way from third parties. So, loss of business, the hacker who has attacked, maybe you have to pay the hacker. There has been corruption, there has been damage, you need to, recover from there. From third party side, there could be defamation, IPR, breach of confidentiality, and so on and so forth. There are a number of things which could happen. So it's very important that you understand what's your lay of the land. What are you dealing with? What data do you have? How critical is your data? Because unless and until you have a full picture about it, you may miss out having the right clauses, right elements within your policy. If it is not there, so there's a live example of one of the large bank where in their policy, somehow ransomware as a attack vector was not covered, it was excluded. And when they got hit, what they found to their peril was the policy was not of much use and it was giving them false confidence, right? So the airbag probably was only in the front dashboard and not on the side, and this thing came from the, hit came from the side. So how do you really make sure that you have the right policy? Of course, why would somebody sue you? It could be, I spoke about, the intellectual property. So what intellectual property you are having, what you are holding, because you might be holding intellectual property of some insurance company, or you might be holding, some other, details. Breach of contract, and this is something which is going to be very, very important because the Data Protection Act will demand lots and lots of requirements on you. Failure to render services, many of your services could mean the recipient not being able to fulfill its obligations, so it kind of comes to you. Privacy and loss, I again spoke about. Security breach, your data might be in open, which might become open, and it could lead to some damages to your partners. Misrepresentation, somewhere, wrong data might get published on your website. Your email systems getting compromised, wrong information may go out to the market, claiming something, or there was a famous case where, not because of cyber, but where a person who was working in back office of one of the largest companies in the world with from market capitalization, he sent out a mail that a product development is delayed by around 6 months. And that led to huge, some billions of dollars of fall in the on their share prices. So that kind of thing can happen. Breach violation, acts, rules, regulations. You are a regulated entity or working closely with regulated entities, so those can impact you. This is where it becomes important, right? So what is excluded? There are various things which are mentioned here. I wanted to just pick up a couple of things. So like penalties, it's very important to see whether how are you going to deal with penalties, because penalties may not be insurable. I'm not a insurance expert, so I will not claim that what I'm saying is completely tested from all dimensions. But what I understand, penalties may not be insurable. Like if I get fined by a police because of crossing a red line, or drive through a red light, I can't go to an insurance company and say, the government has fined me 10,000 rupees, pay me insurance. Now, same thing if you think from a Data Protection Act of India, if a company gets fined the maximum, which is 250 crores per instance, can you go to insurance company? No. So while insurance is needed, I just also want to make sure that it is not a panacea of everything. At the same time, of course, you need to make sure that if you have exclusions, you have understood that. Your needs, which I was sharing earlier, they have been incorporated into your policies, so that if you are feeling confident, you are having the right policy to give you that confidence. Okay, so what could be some of the coverage? Personal data, corporate data, outsourcing. In this industry, outsourcing is becoming very important. Data security liability, breach of data security. The administrative expenses which could be there, because you might have to spend a lot of money to come up. Then company's reputation, notification monitoring, you might have to notify a number of stakeholders, including public sometimes. Electronic data, reasonable costs and expenses, you may need, you need to spend there. There could be extortion, there could be network interruption. So there could be number of these are not a holistic list, but I just want to say that there are various dimensions and you need to go through clearly, keeping the context of your own company to make sure everything is included in your policy coverage. Yeah, so I think that's what I wanted to really talk about. I did a little bit of a rapid fire given the time span which I had, but any questions I'll be happy to answer. I don't know how much time we have. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer that, or maybe we can have a talk outside. Yes. DPDA. So Digital Personal Data Protection Act. So this got passed last month. It got published in the Gazette. So the act is enacted. The act says that the government is going to form rules and a Data Protection Board of India. Once the rules and Data Protection Board of India is there, it will become enforceable. Right? And so then it becomes very important. So again, may not be the focus of insurance, but if you are dealing with personal data, and all of you are dealing with personal data in some form or other, and using that data to provide personalized services to the individuals, then it's very, very clear that that data needs to be used with consent, or it has to be for lawful basis. And marketing, sales, they will not qualify as lawful, so you need to have explicit consent. Right? And if you're using it and you're processing it without the consent, the responsibility, accountability, and liability is all with you. You might say that I got data from some third party, but again, responsibility will be yours, because either the other party is what in the DPDP it is said is the data fiduciary, equivalent to data controller in GDPR. If the other party is proven to be the data fiduciary, then the other party will be responsible, which could be, let's say, the customer is giving data in contractual way to the insurance company. Insurance company is routing it to you. Technically, it might be coming directly to you. That way, in that sense, it will be insurance company. But otherwise, if it is coming to you directly and you are passing it on further, then it is you are responsible. So, very short answer, but just try to give a picture. And thing to be kept in mind is protection is from the perspective of the individual. So it's not about data getting breached. It's not only about data getting breached, it's also about data being used for a purpose for which consent was not taken. So if the customer has said, you can only use data to process this policy and nothing else, then you can't use it for anything else. That's very important.
This particular regulation has now given for GDPR, HIPAA compliance, that if we comply with this, then those will get a waiver there?
So, see, the one law cannot give you a direct benefit on other law. However, what is one of the main problem statement for the country was that there is no legal or lawful protection for personal data. It was only contractual. And so there was always a concern that if a European data comes to India, which is a personal data, how do you really give a confidence to the European company, or for that matter individuals, that their data has some lawful protection in India? So till yesterday it was not there, today it is there. So to that extent you can transmit that confidence. But of course, no law will explicitly draw, I would say, comfort from the other law. So contractual requirements for adhering to GDPR will still remain.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think I'll close the session. Thank you, and drive your car safely.
The next session is by Paul. The topic is AI and insurance. Paul is the co-founder of and corporate director of Panmeta Corporation,
Yeah, I can explain more myself. No worries.
and he'll explain the rest
I
of
want
it
to save
himself.
my time. Yes. Yes. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Today, I was, there's a lot of things I'd like to say, but we don't have a lot of time. Just real fast in my background. My first job was when I was 12 years old. I worked for a semi-government agency doing data analysis. I was picked for that job because I was hacking some stuff, and the FBI came to my house. So my uncle, when I lived with him, he didn't want me to go to jail, but they offered me a special job. I worked for since 12 to 18. I got paid to do it, and I made some good friends there at that agency, and later did other things. But my background primarily is in data, algorithms. I'm mostly a behind-the-scenes kind of guy. I don't like to go out and speak, but John made me speak, so this year. More like because I think it's very important to people understand what's going on. And today I want to tell you what's really happening, because it's very important. I think it's very important for you, because enough talk about me. If you can go to the next slide, please. Okay, so right now we're at a very, 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 very dangerous time. I don't know if most people really understand how dangerous this is. I think I've been in technology all my life, but I'm not talking about AI going crazy, okay? I'm not talking about AI being evil. That's easy to do, okay? What I'm talking about is, right now, a lot of companies are investing and paying into a model that is obsolete. You're hiring people, I'm sorry to say this, but you're hiring people that 80% of their work can be done by an AI right now at a fraction of the cost. This is already dangerous for your company. You put your company in a very dangerous situation. Technology has shifted. We're humans. We're Homo sapiens. Digital is an evolution. That's just my point of view. But if we look at our children, this AI might be our children. We created it, right? So what does this mean? It means human capital, human resources being changed to digital capital. There's a transformation. So right now, probably the most important investment a company or a country like India can make, like China knows this very well. I live in Shanghai, I live in Hong Kong. So I can see that part of the world, maybe that you cannot see too much. So like India, they invest tremendously in the space program, but they haven't invested tremendously in a foundational AI model program. Why is something like space more important than AGI for India? It doesn't make sense. If you have AGI in India, space and everything become secondary. So this is how dangerous of a time we live in. We live in where private companies and a few governments really understand where we are and where we're headed. And even, a lot of people talk about UBI, Universal Basic Income. What does that really mean? It means nobody has jobs. They have to give you money. It's socialism, right? So, right now, probably there's about a 2 to 3 year horizon before there's a great change that's going to happen. If you don't mind, hit my next slide, please. So BCG, as you guys know, they're presenting later today. They had a huge study with hundreds of consultants. And I just want to tell you, look at those numbers. That's from BCG. That's not good. That's good for them, but that's not good for the world. And that's not good for most companies that are not focused. Because what that says right there, they couldn't even do that with people. They couldn't do that with better management. They couldn't do that with better process. They couldn't do that with better tools. But this happened with AI. What does that tell you? That's scary. That's not interesting. That's scary. Because that tells you if they're there now with standard GPT-4, where are they going to be 2 years from now if they're focused? They may have an army of consultants that are digital, because it's definitely not going to be humans. Okay? It can't be. Because if I can make you and make a better version of you, I don't need Elon Musk's Neuralink. You're already digital. I don't need to be biology matching technology together and binding together. You're already digital. So This thing, if you look at it, hundreds of consultants across 18 different work tasks, where do you get 12.2% more tasks done? You don't get that. That's just impossible. These are impossible numbers in normal human circumstances. Unless basically people are working, which they never worked before. You know, they didn't work before, now they started working. Click, please. Look what happened. The gentleman asked about a distribution. We can talk about that later too, but look at this. The lower half had the greatest benefit. Why does the lower half have the greatest benefit? Let's just think very easily. If someone is helping you to do something, you're going to have great benefit, especially if you're the person needing more help. It's just, you know, common sense. So what this really means is, if you look at those two graphs, used AI, just means think about AI as a person. Had a person help you. Of course, if you have people help you, you get things done faster. Especially one that's patient, doesn't get mad, doesn't get sick, that doesn't get pregnant, doesn't get, you know, men's syndrome, like, you know, 40-year-old and, you know, midlife crisis, all that. That AI has none of that. You know, it might get mad every now and then. You have to treat it nice. It's very important. So that's important. Click, please. Look what happened here. Stanford, they did a study. So, you know, it's been almost impossible to reach the level they just reached with AI. Look what it says. Our research marks the first evidence of LLMs outperforming human experts in clinical text summarization across multiple tasks. Let me just read that again. Outperforming human experts, not human, freshly hired college people. Experts. If it's already there, that's not good. That's not good. Empowering clinicians to focus on their irreplaceable human aspects of medicine. Now, I don't know about you, but most of my doctors are not very nice anyway. So I don't know what they can replace. so I think the AI is better. But what's going to happen is it's very, very simple to see. If we have greed in the world, which we have, meaning people are chasing to make money, you're going to see massive transformation of this caliber across all spectrums. So what that means is, and I want to be very specific, you have to know where you should focus. Focus your company's money, focus your time, focus your energy. Please click. IBM study, look at this. This is pretty bad, pretty bad. Oh, you don't need to learn science anymore in the future because AI can do it for you. So just be a nice person and try to learn how to manage your time, because then you can tell AI to do everything. So inflection means we're at a point now where it's already 80%. 80% of a capability of a college student is already there. Now, I want to ask you, for $20 US a month, ChatGPT comes with GPT-4. What does that mean, really? So this is a very, very, very dangerous set of events that's coming. It's only going faster. Next point, please. This is a lot of talk, okay? Don't worry about too much of this. Let me just talk to you because there's too much stuff there, okay? What's happening is we are entering a time where investment of time, resources is very critical, that you become not only AI first, but you become AI dependent. What that means is not dependent on AI, but that you force your company, team, people to learn, even when it's rudimentary, when it's not perfect, learn how to do the best. It's like someone tells you you only have a hammer, but they give you 10 tasks. You innovate, you think better. When you're resource constrained, you think better. So right now is an opportunity, because if it's too good, it doesn't need you. And at that time, it just needs someone to steer it. And if you're good with it now, and if you can build skills now, not only can you steer it, but you can employ it. If you create a good clone of yourself and you know how to do the things that Neuralink promises you, let's boot, now you know physics, now you know how to build robotics. You can do that with AI. Just clone yourself. Learn how to clone yourself. If you don't want to clone yourself, learn how to create a clone, learn how to make sure you can train it, learn how to make sure it can serve you, and make sure that it can serve. That's just my point of view, okay? You don't have to listen to me. You can, whatever in the world you want to do. But what's happening is we're now getting to the point where next year, we're going to have about a 90+% code efficiency, even at AI, meaning AIs can do 90% of what most coders can do. So what happens to the IT outsourcing industry? What happens to BPO? You know, I don't think a lot of people really realize the truth because the truth is too harsh. So I'm not here to tell you the truth. I'm just trying to tell you what are some ways to actually do something while you have some time. 5 minutes left. Yes, thank you. Okay, I wanted to give you a demo, but it's too hard. But I want us to go back to 2 more slides. Can you go back 2 slides? Okay, I want to come back here a second. Now, if I'm in InsurTech, and I'm at, it doesn't matter what part of InsurTech I'm at, because you can be anywhere. To me, that's interesting. Why is that interesting? To me, that's interesting because if I know if I can do that, and I can specialize on that, I can specialize in a lot of places where this is similarity, you know, and I can compress this knowledge. Meaning, if I'm good at taking medical information, summarizing it, making notes that are usable, actionable, and that can be redistributed into other processes, this seems like a good vector for me to engage in. It seems like a good area to invest in and where I get to learn AI, do AI, study AI, improve AI. So to me, this kind of new development is not really new. It just wasn't found with AI. It just wasn't found. It's like there was gold there, but nobody found the gold until somebody finally dug it up. So if you really look at yourself and you look at your business, InsurTech in any category, are you really building for the future? Or are you just building because that's what you know and that's what the client knows? Because if you're not looking at this as just even small evidence of what you can uncover, then you're already failing yourself. Because logic is very simple, and it's here. Now, I have about 2 minutes left. I can leave it to questions. I was going to give you a demo of smart agents, but that cannot next time. Anybody questions? Questions? Yes. Oh.
Just on this slide itself, well, yeah, you talked about role AI is playing, but if I see this slide, I mean, the role that AI is playing, I don't want to play devil's advocate, but it's basically saying that you can do the documentation, summarization easily. It is not really, it is not at the point where it is replacing doctors or medical knowledge.
Well, I just want to say that, I want to just say, look what it says here. Outperforming human experts. That's who did it before. Human experts.
In the summarization task.
For those clinical case studies, like this is clinical notes. So if you think about clinical notes and you think about what it's doing, it outperformed human experts. So the key point is, who is it outperforming? That's all you have to know. Because then you can identify how big is the opportunity and also how big is the risk. Is that okay? Yes, next. Anybody? Yes, please.
Well, my question is rather simple. If I want to have a look at these, smart agent demo, how can I do that?
Oh, you can contact John here. But and finally, just thank you, sir, for asking. But I want to say this. I want to leave you with this. Please, I know this sounds very, crazy, but please, if you think about yourself, you think about 1 year from now, just look what happened in 1 year, this year alone, where it has gotten. So technology is snowball effect. It never does just like lateral moves. It does snowball. So, it's really dangerous if some company can get 80% or more of your services for 1 to 10% of your cost, it's very, very dangerous. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.